Welcome back to the Padilla Family Homestead. We are inside today. It's going to be a different style video. This is the kind of beginning to a series of videos that I'm planning on doing. And when the weather starts to cool down, the garden starts to die down, how do we spend our time inside? And one of the ways that I do that is by crafting in some way. In this particular case, we're going to talk about crocheting. I think crocheted gifts are a fun way to pass the time, but also they are great for Christmas presents. They're great for creating something that's going to create warmth for you or a loved one throughout the winter season. It's just something cozy and fun, and it keeps your brain and your hands active. So I got a ton of yarn at Hobby Lobby for $1.24. So this skein should be enough to do a beanie, and that's what I'm going to show you how to make today. I'm going to show you the basic stitch and then kind of what we're counting. I'm starting off right here right this second. I may move to a more comfortable spot. We'll see. I'm going to try to get the camera down on my hands. That way you see what I am doing well. I would love feedback if this is a style video that you would like to keep seeing. I always try to make sure I come up with things that are helpful and informative to you. I feel like homesteading is not just gardening, animals, and cooking. There's a whole nother level of things that people start to do for themselves. And so this is one of the things that I have been doing since I was junior high school. I think my mom taught me how to crochet. I don't remember when she taught me. I'm sure she'll tell me in the comments. And then at Bible college, I learned how to make beanies when I was 19, and kind of stuck with that. And then I learned how to make the little flowers that go on the beanies. Then I've learned some different stitches to make different styles, scarves and beanies and different things. So there's lots of things you can do with just some basic knowledge. I have a video from a long time ago that talks about, because I've been wanting to do this series for a long time, that talks about a particular style stitch, so I will put that in the description below. But we are going to jump in and we're going to get started. I am going to voice over the majority of this video because I will be down on my hands showing you the stitches. I'm showing you the process, but then this is going to take a few hours to actually pull together. So some of it I may speed up, some of it I may cut out, but I'm going to have stuff going on in the background. I can't ask my husband to not move in our room for 3 hours. So I will be doing a voiceover, but let's jump in and get started and see how this turns out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is what yarn I used. Again, I got this yarn for $1.24, so this beanie is going to cost me $1.24 to make. And it has 175 yards of yarn in it. And then this is the hook I used, G7, which is 4.5 millimeters. I realized that there are different size G's. You can do beanies with different size hooks. I'll kind of go over the variation of that later. It will change what size it is and how many of each row you need. So how we're going to start is we're just going to double knot right here the yarn onto the hook. I like to double knot on the thick part of the hook. Make sure it's not sliding to that skinny part right there or to the super wide where the numbers are. Just on the basic spot, make sure it's loose enough. And once you have your double knot, you can hold the end that needs to be cut, and you can hold that back to hold your loop in place, and you're going to do 5 chain stitches, and that's the stitch I'm doing right here, just 5 chain stitches. What we're trying to do is create the circle. that's at the center of the top of the beanie. And we're going to take our hook and stick it back into where the knot is. And we are going to wrap once and pull it through. Now I'm going to change camera angles here in a minute. I realize this isn't working. It's off to the side and it was really hard to lean over and crochet onto it. The next camera phase was hard to do as well, but it works. So I did that one, looped it over once, pulled it through both, and now I have a tiny hole in the center. I'm going to use another hook to kind of show you so you have a visual. It's not as small as it looks once it gets spread out. And that's what we're going to crochet into. Now I do miss a step here. You should chain up 2. So when you put your hook in, you should wrap it, pop it in, and then just chain up 2. And I didn't do that. And you'll see that process on the next layer, but it still works and it's still totally fine. So this whole beanie, besides the chain stitches and the connector stitches, are double crochet. That's the stitch you're going to use, is a double crochet. And I'm going to show you again when I start the next stitch. So you wrap it, you push it through, and then you wrap it, which is me pulling it right there. Wrap it, pull it through 2, wrap it, pull it through 2. So you wrap it, stick it in, wrap it, pull it through. That's going to give you 3 things on the hook right now. Wrap it, pull it through 2, wrap it, pull it through 2. That is a double crochet stitch, and that is the basis for the beanie. That is the basis for most of the scarves I do. It's a very basic stitch, but it's how you utilize that stitch is how you get to create all kinds of cool things. So the more stitches you get on this first circle is going to make your beanie wider. And sometimes I get more, sometimes I get less. It's one of the reasons why you don't want that hole like super tiny. My best friend actually is left-handed and she crochets much tighter than I do. And so for me, when I watch how she crochets, I would suggest doing a couple extra chains, doing like 7 chains for that circle. But you do want to watch your tension when you're doing this. You don't want it super tight, but you don't want it crazy loose. You want it a comfortable stitch. So I just keep pulling the chains that I'm doing around because they're loose. They're not connected into any particular stitch. They're just into the open portion of that circle. And so it'll keep shifting, and I don't want it to curl, but I want to fit enough that it's comfortable. And when I go to connect it to the other side, it's not going to pull it and make it loop. And I test that a couple times here. I'll go to see what's it going to look like if I connect it, and it wasn't going to work. So we're still making stitches there. See, I'm double checking. I go ahead and I'm like, I'm going to do another one because I want to make sure that I have enough there that I'm not pulling it and making it a cone on top. So that's pretty tight. It's good. In this case, normally I would be going into the 2 chain stitches, the chaining up, and I didn't have that, so I just went into that first stitch, pull it through, and pull it through. So I put it through both, wrap, and pull it through both. So now I have my basis for my next set of stitches, and now I'm going to be going into each one of those stitches. So I'm going to chain up 2, and then I'm going to do that double crochet stitch twice in that first spot. So on this row, every single stitch section gets 2 double crochet stitches. So that has 1, I'm putting 2 in it. And then I will move on and do the next one. You can see it right there on the top. And I change views to make life easier for you guys. So you can see the double crochet stitch there. I'm going into the next empty one. I'm going to wrap it, pull it through, wrap it, pull it through again. That's only one in that spot though. So for this row, I need to do a double. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it and put it through that same hole again and do the double crochet stitch. And I'm going to keep doing that for this entire row. And then we'll move on to a different combination on the next one. And I think it's really funny because I'm trying to figure out how to crochet slow for the camera. And I literally am sitting at a table with a tripod between me and the table with my phone on it pointed down at my hands. So I'm like watching myself crochet through the camera because I can't actually see my hands. And I was messing up in almost all the ways right here. And so I think it's good though that you get to see like, okay, so sometimes a stitch falls off, or sometimes you don't have, like, you don't pull all of the yarn, and how do you handle that situation? And if you lose your spot or whatever, you can go back and unhook and just get it to the next correct position and line it back up. This fancier yarn that's kind of fuzzier separates way easier than the basic red heart yarn. That does not separate as much as this particular yarn does. So if you're wanting something basic to start with, doing that red heart or the I love this yarn or whatever the brand is, I would suggest using something a little firmer. Maybe the first time you do it, but man, these yarns are so soft and so cozy. I couldn't resist. So, okay, so we're getting to the last spot here. This entire row has been double crocheted, and now I'm going to connect through. And so I'm going to go ahead and put it to where I had the 2 chains. I'm going to pull through, and then we're ready for our next row. So this row we're going to chain up 2, and then we're going to double crochet twice into the first one, and then we're going to double crochet once into the next one. So it'll be 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 1 stitch, all the way through. And I call that double single, but for anybody new to crocheting, there is a single crochet stitch and a double crochet stitch, and that can confuse people. So this is all double crochet stitch. I'm just putting double the stitches in one and a single stitch in the other one. So I think for now it's just easier to say 2 1 2 1 2 1. And so for this row, that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to keep following that step all the way around. It's pretty easy to tell where you have 2 in a spot and where you have a single. It follows the natural progression. The first one's all double or 2 stitches in each one. The next row is 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 1 stitch, and then the one after that is 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 1 stitch, and then 2 stitches, and we keep going through that progression. But each time we're going to close it out and connect it, and then do the double crochet and stitch up. So if you're using a bigger hook with it's going to create bigger holes, bigger gaps right here, and that can cause your beanie to be larger. If you are crocheting super tight, that can cause your beanie to be way smaller. If you are using fatter yarn, you usually need a bigger hook to do so because it needs more space. There's a lot of variables that can happen here. And so as you make your first one and you kind of figure out how big your head is and what size you're going to need, your first basis is to create the top part for the back of your head, where your high ponytail would sit, right? And then that's going to be more of a flatter disc, and then it's going to curve down and around. And so right now, that's why we're following this double crochet it 2 times. I think we're on to the double one. So now we're on to two double crochet stitches, and then 1, 1, and 2, 1, 1, and 2. And we're following that to create a flat disc, because one of the next steps we're going to do is to create that curve. So right now, this is the basis that you would need to create a pot holder, and that you would need to create a coaster, a flat rug. All those basic things are coming into play right here to create this disc. Once you have the steps and why you're doing what you're doing, it's very easy to create your all kinds of projects. So we finished that row because I talked over it. Now we're on to 2 double crochet stitches in the first spot, and then a single, a single, a single, or 1 stitch, 1 stitch, 1 stitch, and then a double. So we have 3 spots with 1 stitch, and then we go to a double, and then 3 spots with 1 stitch, and then we go to a double. And this is the last natural progression we're going to do. And I don't do this with all of them. Apparently I've used a larger needle on some of them, and I only need the up to the 2 singles. Also, if you're making a kid's beanie, I would lose this row as well. So we're finishing this row, and we're going to move in to the part that is going to cause the curve. And this one is a fun one. So far we've followed that natural progression, right? Going up 1 each time, giving it 1 more single each time. But this time we are going to do the 2 stitches in the first spot. And then we're going to do 10 double crochet stitches, but single stitches in each spot. So we're going to have 10 different stitches that have 1 set of double crochet in it. And that is going to cause it to start to curve. Now this is the one you're going to have to count the most. It's the easiest one to lose track of. You're watching TV, you're talking to somebody, you get lost in your brain and you forget how many you have done single. So be prepared to count it a few times. But this is going to start that curve, because we're not getting wider now. We're trying to stay where we are kind of at this point, and that's what causes it to curve and go up, start to create the beanie shape. So again, it is 2 double crochet stitches, and then 1 double crochet stitch 10 different times in 10 different spots. And then you do another double crochet stitch, and then do another 10 individuals, and then another set of double. And you'll only go around that. You'll only do 1 whole row this way, and it's only going to take a few sets of that, because 10 is a lot of stitches. I encourage you, if you're trying to follow along, to get this stitch down, right? The wrap, push it through, wrap, pull through, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. That is the biggest thing you need to get down. And so if you have never crocheted before, just make a chain and start doing the double crochet stitch off of that chain, and get that stitch down. After that, it gets pretty easy. Again, I would not start with any fuzzier of a yarn than what I have right here. There are some super fuzzy ones, and it's really hard to see your holes and what comes next. And I would not be trying to do this with any of those your first time you're making a beanie. Do a basic one, get the process down, and trust the process, because at first it doesn't look like it's going to turn into a beanie, but it will. So now we're on to the smooth sailing. Here there's not much counting. You're doing the 2 chain up, and now we're doing a double crochet stitch, 1 in each spot all the way around. And from here on out, you're doing many rows of 1 double crochet stitch in each spot. There's no more back and forth. It's just smooth sailing from here. So once you get this stitch down, this process will go extremely fast. And I say extremely fast because, I mean, this first section, recording it, even though I'm showing 21 minutes right now on this video, it did take longer than that because I've cut out some of the stitching. And that's only for a few rows because most of it is counting, right? Now you're just crocheting. And so it did take a couple of hours to do all the rows, but it goes fast. And you could see that curve right there. It starts to really curve up. So I think I did 14. I'll say it on the end of this when my face pops up on here again. But I'm showing you how we connect it now, and you just do the same thing over and over and over again. Double crochet, double chain stitching up, and then doing the next row. And you can try it on, like I have my hook in there right now. You can just pull that a little further, and then so you don't lose your stitch, and pull that over your head and try it and see if it's ready. Look in the mirror and see if it's at the point where you want it. If you want a cuff, make it a little longer. If you don't want a cuff, you don't have to make it longer. And I'm showing here all the different rows. So I had the very first tip is your original one. The second row is all your doubles. The third row is your double, and then double one, and then so forth down. And so as long as you know what you did, you can count how many rows of single that you had. And I believe it was 14 because I had 11 on an older one, but I used a bigger hook. So all I do is I pull that through. I'm cutting some extra. I used to just knot it right there. I don't like the knot showing, and I really don't cuff my beanies that much. So I close it off this way. Now, if you just want to knot it at the end and call it good, do that. But otherwise, I am going to knot it inside further up. So when you go to knot right here, don't pull it tight. Otherwise, you're going to crink your whole beanie. So if you watched, I held the top where the edge of the beanie was and stopped it from pulling too tight. And then I just do a few knots here until I feel like it's secure, pulling it tight, and then I will trim that off. And then that's how I close off my beanies now. That's just a preference, just because I don't like the knot on the end of it. And I don't cuff them very much. If you cuff a lot, I would just put the knot at the end and it doesn't matter. Okay, and just like that, we are done. I will say that I talked about this I should have talked about this in the voiceover, but how many stitches this is going to take is going to depend on how wide your head is, how big your forehead is, all of those things. So if you ever have a beanie that's not quite long enough or too loose or whatever, you can make variations to this to make it work for you. So I'm going to take my hair down. And I'm going to slide it on. I always put that little seam part in the back. And it fits so good. I love it. So you can, if you wanted to, pull it a little bit and just cuff it up. I don't cuff it in the back. and have that little bit of cuff so it goes over your ears more. But this is super cute, super comfortable. So this one I had done with this hook, and I realized I have a couple of different G hooks. This is the 4.5 millimeter. This one I must have done with a larger one. This, because I only, you could see like the stitches, they're bigger, they're wider. It's the same style yarn, but each row takes up a little bit more space. So this one I only did, I have the double, no, I have the first ring, the double, the 1 and 2. I didn't do a third, I did 10, and I only did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I only did 11 on this one, and it fits very similar. So that is because my holes here are bigger than my holes on this one, because that's what changes, is your spacing. So the smaller your hook, the more rows that you're going to need, and the more times around you're going to need. That would be your double, single, then double, single, double, or double, single, double. That's going to change there, how much you're going to need. So there are variations depending on the size hooks, how tight you crochet, all of those things. This is already knotted on the inside, so I'm just gonna trim that, and we are set. Now you can add a flower clip, which I'll be teaching how to make in the future on future videos. You can also do like a pom-pom on the top. I haven't super mastered those. I kind of like the fur looking pom-poms more than I like the old-fashioned yarn pom-poms, but yeah, super fun. So I hope this helps you when you are inside, because it is cold this winter. I would definitely attempt to make some of these. If you're in need of some beanies, you can absolutely do it. It could be totally affordable. So some of those skeins of yarn are more expensive. You can feel them, see how you like them, what texture, but look for sales. A lot of times there's clearance. These I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby, I want to say in June or July. It was before my birthday. So it was in June or July I got those. I have a big bag. I've been working on projects, so I get to add this blue one to the pile. And then, so one of those skeins did a beanie. And then about 2 skeins will do a scarf with fringe, and I can show that on a future one as well. I will be showing different styles of beanies as well, because there's a popcorn stitch one that I've done that I really like, and there is a basket weave, which is really cute. So there's all different types of stitches you can do once you get the concept down. This is just the basic double crochet stitch, and yeah, so I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you want to see more of these, if there's particular things that you would like to see. Let me know in the comments as well, and we will see you back on the next video.